Alright, the most comforting fragrances in my collection, budget edition. Most of these fragrances are around $50, give or take. I will do a more expensive edition or a luxury edition in the near future, but today, the most comforting fragrances in my collection, budget fragrances. So if you want to find out what they are, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, it's all about comforting fragrances today, but these are the ones that you can buy inexpensively, fairly inexpensively. Most of them are teetering around the $50 mark. There's a lot of fragrances around 40, 35, 50, 55 and things like that. So this is definitely budget. There's even some even cheaper ones, but it depends on who you speak to, I guess, about budget. But I consider these pretty inexpensive, especially if they go down as low as $30. But these are all comforting fragrances, all very comforting, cozy, soothing, calming, gourmand, mostly gourmand, and there's lots of musks here as well. And you know, I find gourmand things very, very comforting in general. Like let's say, for example, like cake, cookies, pie, anything that you eat sweet, go to mom's house and eat, that's all very comforting to me. Very, very cozy, and that's why I find these kind of fragrances very, very comforting as well. So I'll let you know what they are. 15 fragrances, a couple of bonuses. Before I get to the fragrances though, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos. Before I get to the list though, what are your favorite budget comforting fragrances? And do you enjoy wearing these kind of fragrances where you can put it on and you can smell and, you know, feel relaxed and cozy, perhaps sit in front of a TV, a fireplace, a blanket on, watching something, reading a book, sipping some tea or something? You know, let me know if you have certain fragrances like that that you enjoy wearing, and ones that are budget or inexpensive. Let's get started with the first one. We're going right to a musky fragrance from the house of KIEHL'S. This is original musk, this one right here. This one can be had for about 45 bucks for a 50 ml. There's always sales at KIEHL'S though. Sometimes they do 25% off and even 30% off, so this goes down in price. You can wait for those, or you can sign up for something like Rakuten, which I recommend quite a bit. I have a link in the info box, and you can get that $30 cash back for signing up, and you know, get this for fairly inexpensive. This is a very musky, sweet, powdery fragrance. Loads of musk here with orange blossom, Ylang-Ylang, Tonka beans, Patchouli, and Neroli. So yes, there's floral touches. In the background, you pick up orange blossom, you pick up Neroli kind of smells, but it's covered with that musk, lots of it. So it's a very, very calming and cozy experience. Any kind of musk fragrance to me, I find to be cozy. And even though it doesn't go gourmand to me, I find musks to be very, very cozy, very, very relaxing fragrance experiences. And this one definitely does the job for me, and I use it as a bed scent as well once in a while. All these fragrances are perfect to wear to bed. It can kind of calm you and relax you. So this is KIEHL'S original musk, the first fragrance we're starting off with. Heading on over to KORRES, and I recommend this fragrance quite a bit as well. One of you guys recommended this to me, you know who you are, and I bought it, and I've been loving this particular fragrance. It's called Black Sugar from KORRES, and once again, it's a vanillic, sweet, ambery fragrance experience with caramel, vanilla, tonka beans, heliotrope, amber, brown sugar. Since this, I bought a bunch of other fragrances from this house. I probably should do a video overview of this particular brand, but just a couple of days ago, they were having a 25% off discount of everything in their store. Usually they do. Sometimes they go down to 30%, and sometimes during the holidays they do 40% off. It's a 50 ml for 45 bucks. Last time I checked, so 25% off, 30% off, 40% off makes for a really great deal on these fragrances from KORRES. But you know, I really enjoy this particular fragrance for its sweet touches. There's kind of sugary, granular touches in here as well, but it eventually becomes kind of like a ambery, kind of a vanillic, sweet, syrupy experience. So this is Black Sugar from the house of KORRES. This is probably one of my favorite fragrances that's uber inexpensive. This is probably around 15 bucks for a 50 ml. At once, this was only available as a what do you call it, like a roll-on kind of a fragrance, but eventually I found a bottle online for a spray fragrance. In 50 ml, it was about 15 bucks. Now it's currently about 15 bucks. It's REHAB's Choco Musk. Probably one of the best, most inexpensive, best fragrance kind of a thing, you know? It's so cheap, it's so good, and it's so cozy that I absolutely love it. In fact, I've had some fragrance friends come by and smell this stuff, and they've wanted it. So, you know, I've given them as gifts. So I think probably what I should do is buy a bunch more. But this is Vanillic warm and chocolatey spicy fragrance featuring notes of vanilla, chocolate, white musk, cinnamon, spices, sandalwood. It's called Choco Musk. For me, I get kind of more vanillic musk with chocolate being in the background, but it's kind of like a very cozy experience, very, very relaxing, very, very soft and smooth, kind of a syrupy kind of a wear, where it's gourmand for sure, and it's also musky. Plus, it's so inexpensive, you can keep wearing this and pile it on at night, and it won't break the bank. So this is, if you can find it, get it. If you can't find the spray version, get the you know, the roll-on kind. But I much prefer sprays. I don't like attars, I don't like oils and things like that, so I prefer to spray. So Choco Musk at number 13. This is an unranked video, guys. This next one is a men's fragrance. The rest of them are either women's or unisex, but this particular one is male targeted, but it's very unisex. Go into the house of CARON. Pour un homme de CARON. This is it right here. This one is aromatic lavender, lots of it, meshed with vanilla. But I would call this kind of a vanillic lavender powdery fragrance, musky fragrance as well. Like there's definitely lots of muskiness here. But they only credit 3 notes. It's the lavender, the vanilla, and the musks that are credited here. It's kind of a different kind of a fougere-like fragrance. I would call it maybe nearing the amber fougere direction. But for me, this doesn't fully go there. But I actually really love it because my dad wore this in the 70s, and I remember smelling it on him, and he smelled great with this particular fragrance. And I really enjoyed for its coziness, because lavender in general is very, very relaxing. They use it for aromatherapy and things like that, and it also has the vanilla, more coziness added to it, so it's a very, very cozy experience, and totally, totally unisex, even though this is a men's fragrance. So Pour un homme de CARON from the house of CARON is a great, really, really comforting fragrance. So I have not bought the latest version of this particular fragrance. I'm hearing things that maybe perhaps it's changed a little bit. Then I'm hearing also people say it smells similar to the original. This is ZARA's Rich, Warm, Addictive. So I noticed that they now have a 2021 version. They had a 2018 version, and then the one I got was around 2016 or 2015, somewhere around there. This is a sweet, honeyed, coconutty fragrance, and it's from the tobacco collection. There's hardly any tobacco in this. It's just a very creamy, very, very soothing, very molassesy, syrupy, kind of like, you know, how molasses kind of runs when you're, you know, putting it into a bowl to mix it with, you know, cooking ingredients. Just that's the kind of experience it is to me, the way when I wear it. It's got lots of honey, it's coconut, it's tobacco, and sandalwood. Hardly any tobacco in this one, if any. Kind of like Montal's Intense Cafe, which there's supposedly coffee in there. You hardly get coffee. This is kind of similar. It's like you hardly have any tobacco in this one, but you get lots of honey, a coconut, sandalwood, and perhaps vanilla thrown in there as well. It's a very syrupy experience. So this is Rich, Warm, Addictive from the house of ZARA. Have you guys tried the 18 and 21 versions? I think I'm going to go pick it up very, very soon, or order it. Although I was looking for it on their website, I couldn't find it. Weird. So it's usually in their store. So the next one I'm going to talk to you about is from the house of Yves Rocher. This is CUIR de Nuit, a great vanillic fragrance. If you're looking for a cheap budget alternative to the fragrance from Guerlain, Spirituous Double Vanille, this would make for a great alternative, I personally think, because it's kind of in that same ballpark of smelling kind of boozy, bourbon vanilla, kind of cooking vanilla kind of smell. This is available plentiful in France. They have different, you know, stores throughout the country, but there is a USA website. It's 100 ml for 85. They generally have 40% off or 50% off sales, so if you get it for 50% off, obviously it's definitely going to be under $50. Even with the 40% off, it'll be around 50 bucks. So it's a great deal for this one. It smells really, really great. It's a great smelling vanillic fragrance. It's warm, spicy, it's sweet and vanillic with lots of vanilla, cacao, pink pepper, and coffee. And even though they mention these notes of coffee and cacao, it's to me more about that kind of spirituous double vanille experience of vanilla, kind of boozy, very delicious. This is CUIR de NUIT from the house of Yves Rocher, and I'm going to recommend one more fragrance from this collection that I really like. This is SABLE FAUVE, this one right here. Same thing. If you know this brand, there is a USA website, and you can also run it through Rakuten and you know, get a cashback as well. Wait for their deals. In fact, sign up for their you know, emails so you can get notified that they're having a promotion, and then you buy their fragrances and things like that. But this one is definitely Ambery Vanillic, which also spicy and warm kind of a fragrance, and it features tonka beans, benzoin, and labdanum. So it's an ambery kind of experience, and they create the ambery experience with the benzoin and labdanum, and then they do have this tonka beans thrown in there as well, a little nutty, a little tobacco-ish nuances, but it's once again very cozy and comforting, and I like that about this one. If you like benzoin, which is vanillic, it's a resin meshed with labdanum, creates an amber, and it's delicious. So this is Yves Rocher SABLE FAUVE. This next one is a major cheapie. It's named after a woman, but it's a unisex fragrance, and it's one of the better, cheaper kind of musk fragrances. This is Alicia Ashley Musk. Have you guys tried this one? It's very easy to wear, but it's very powdery, so it's musky powdery and also sweet, and kind of borders lightly almondy nuttiness in there, but it also kind of reminds me of baby powder. In fact, musk fragrances generally do remind me of baby powder. Even this particular KIEHL'S original musk reminds me of baby powder, and there's a coziness about baby powder, and there's a total coziness about this particular one. This features musk, tonka beans, iris, oak moss, Ylang-Ylang, jasmine, rose. To me, it's that kind of baby powdery, lightly nutty, almondy musk experience. Very cozy to wear, easy to wear. You can wear this to bed. It's very inexpensive, and they have major products with this particular fragrance as well. They have lotions, and they have shampoos, and all kinds of things. It's a very popular fragrance. It's been around, and it is called Alicia Ashley Musk. It is unisex. Look at that over there. But either way, I do recommend this as a great cozy, inexpensive fragrance. So that's Alicia Ashley Musk. One more very inexpensive fragrance, although there's a bunch of inexpensive fragrances in this list. This is from a brand that doesn't really get talked about much. It's LFSGQUESTIONS Heliotrope Blanc. This one I brought back from France one year, several years ago. It's Heliotrope, which has almondy touches. It's a flower, it's a purple flower, and I really do enjoy the smell of it, and it's also very cozy. Nutty, almondy kind of experience runs throughout this particular fragrance. It's almondy, vanillic, and sweet and powdery at the same time. This one, it's a spray fragrance. In fact, I'm going to spray some on. This particular fragrance is online very inexpensively, but I can't find the spray bottles here in the States. As I said, I brought this back from France in Paris, and it's a spray bottle. The ones online here are very inexpensive, but they're splash bottles. I don't know why. But this one, I love it because it's the almondy, powdery, vanillic experience. It's the heliotrope with the almonds, the vanilla, the ylang-ylang, the jasmine all together to make for a wonderfully beautiful and cozy experience, and on the cheap, inexpensive side. So this is LFSGQUESTIONS Heliotrope Blanc. I love that label too. It's a cheap looking bottle, but if you like heliotrope, you like that almondy nuttiness, definitely try that one. I do recommend it. This next one might come off to be a little expensive. It's definitely under 50 bucks. It sells for 45, but it is a 50 ml bottle, so there's rarely any sales on it. This is Serendipitous by Serendipity 3. And once again, kind of like that lightly boozy vanillic kind of experience, like spirituous double vanille, but I would say this one kind of reminds me more of spirituous double vanille, also something like Tihota mixed together. But it's a vanillic, sweet, powdery fragrance with cocoa, Tahitian vanilla, blood orange. I find this to be more about the vanilla center stage. It's really very prominent here. There's potentially a lot of muskiness in here as well, with light hints of cocoa and some of that, you know, blood orangey citric experiences. So this is Serendipity, or no, this is Serendipity 3 Serendipitous is what I should say. So a great scent. If you don't know it, I buy my bottles from from Lucky Scents, so you can look over there. I don't know where else to buy them. It's been there for years, and I found out about it probably around 2013. Anyway, moving on to Laurence Du Monde. This is Tendre Madeleine, this one right here. This is a very, very soothing, calming, cozy, sweet gourmand fragrance, inspired to smell like little madeleines that are really, really yummy to eat with coffee. This is a vanillic, almondy, powdery, sweet fragrance featuring vanilla, almonds, cinnamon, bergamot, and musk. The combination is great. It's very, very delicious. People say it reminds them of Lyra. I could see that. Lyra has a little more citrusy touches. This one doesn't. But besides that, they're kind of similar. But I find this to be very, very cozy, very, very delicious. In fact, on the old channel, I had a review for it. I haven't done a review on this particular fragrance. It's a little more challenging to get this, but I do see them on eBay for around 50, 55 bucks for this particular fragrance. It's 100 ml. So this is Laurence Du Monde, Tendre Madeleine. So moving on to another heliotrope fragrance, we're going to the House of Reminiscence. This is Heliotrope, this one right here. This to me, once again, do they smell similar to one another? These are both heliotrope fragrances. Let me spray this one on. They're definitely vanillic and almondy nutty, but no, this is a little different than this for sure. There's something different. There's a lot of differences actually, come to think of it. This one to me has more of a patchouli presence. I can smell it in the background. Whereas this one to me, it's more about just the heliotrope with almonds and vanilla, and there's some floral notes in there. This one is also a little more complex, but once the complexity kind of wears off, you are kind of left with both of them smelling similar, you know, distantly. But this is a vanillic, almondy, powdery, sweet fragrance featuring almonds, heliotrope, tonka beans, vanilla, benzoin, musk, patchouli, sandalwood, cedar, and fig. Yeah, this is a lot more complex. There's a lot more going on with this particular fragrance. Perhaps you might go with the less expensive version because you don't want complexity when you're wearing these cozy, comforting fragrances. But either way though, this is still very, very cozy and comforting, and I really do love this collection of very kind of pastel colored bottled fragrances from Reminiscence, which I have a video on if you want to go catch it. But either way, great fragrance, Reminiscence, Heliotrope, a very, very cozy, comforting experience. All right, moving on to number 3. This is not a ranked list, as I said. This is another fragrance from that collection of pastel colored bottles. And you guys corrected me. I had mentioned or said the name wrong. This is Dragé. So I said Dragé. I don't know why I said that, but it's a G. But in French, it's Dragé. So this is Dragé from Reminiscence. And this is kind of a similar fragrance. Will remind you of Love Don't Be Shy from Kilian. And then they also have Guimauve, this one right here, and I called this Guimauve, which I shouldn't. It's Guimauve, yes, you're right. Both of these are kind of in that Love Don't Be Shy kind of direction. They're not identical, but they will remind you of it because they're kind of taking on the sweet kind of orange blossomy, neroli kind of vanillic caramel combination together. So sweet floral vanillic powdery fragrance with almonds, almond blossom, orange blossom, vanilla, musk, cardamom. There's a little petitgrain in here as well, but it tastes like an orange blossom dessert, which is very, very popular in the Mediterranean, I think, because I grew up with it. I love orange blossom. I like it combined with vanillic ingredients, and the two together taste really, really great, and also they smell really, really great as well. This one, between this Dragé, between Guimauve, is not as much reminding me of Love Don't Be Shy as Guimauve does, but in the end it's a different take on that kind of Love Don't Be Shy experience, but it's quite delicious. So this is Dragé from the House of Reminiscence. And then moving on to Guimauve, this right here, it's not Guimauve, this is what I was saying. Guimauve is definitely something that will remind you of Love Don't Be Shy. If you want a very, very inexpensive alternative, this is where you would need to go. It's that kind of fragrance, vanillic, you know, very, very mixed with the orange blossom neroli thing, so you'll get that reminder of like the marshmallow caramel combination or vanilla combination with the whole neroli orange blossom thing. But this is featuring a little almondy touch as well, but still it'll definitely remind you of that Love Don't Be Shy experience. So it's vanillic, almondy, citrus floral fragrance with lots of almonds, lots of neroli, lots of orange blossom, vanilla, lavender, for one delicious kind of an experience. Again, these two fragrances, test them out. Great alternatives to Love Don't Be Shy. This is closer than this though, but yeah, I think they're great, very, very cozy, very, very comforting, and very inexpensive currently online. Both of them are around $35–40 for a 100 ml bottle. And then the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about today is from the house of Lalique. This is Le Parfum, a fragrance created by Dominique Ropion for Lalique. This is a very vanillic, boozy fragrance, but it does have a kind of a green accord running throughout it. Like you'll notice it with its all syrupy vanillic touches. You'll kind of get a hint of that greenness kind of surrounding the fragrance. It's vanillic, it's sweet, powdery fragrance with vanilla, tonka beans, sandalwood, heliotrope, West Indian bay, some almonds in there as well. But it's quite delicious. Once again, very, very cozy. It will remind you a little bit of the fragrance Spirituous Double Vanille, so I can see this being an alternative as well. An alternative going in a little different direction, but it's quite delicious, and it's again also very inexpensive. You can get this for around $45–50 for 100 ml, and you know, I think that's a very inexpensive price for fragrances, and you'll smell great and smell delicious, and then, you know, experience the coziness and the comforting experience with the notes in this particular fragrance. So that's Lalique Le Parfum, and that's the last fragrance I'm talking about today of the most cozy fragrances, or the most comforting fragrances in my collection in the budget edition. There's probably more out there. These were the 15 that I grabbed from my collection quickly to do this video, but let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. What are your thoughts? Do you enjoy these kind of fragrances? Are you a man that enjoys these kind of fragrances? Are you a woman? Let me know. I want to find out if as I said, these are unisex and feminine leaning, or women targeted fragrances, but I think men can totally pull it off, except the last one, or one of the fragrances, this particular one is male targeted. But let me know if you're a fan of these fragrances, whether you're a man or a woman. Let me know if you have other fragrances that you recommend that are budget and they're very, very comforting. Put a comment down so I can find out. Either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. Alright, we've got a couple of bonuses here, and they are a little more than $50, but that's why I'm adding them as bonuses. This first one is from Imaginary Authors. It's a whiff of a waffle cone, and this is the only Imaginary Authors fragrance that's $65. Everything else is $95. At least that's where I remember their price tag to be. This is definitely $65, and I do recommend it as a great, delicious fragrance. It does have the DNA of Imaginary Authors, but once again, it's sweet vanillic, it's creamy and caramelly with syrup, ice cream, whipped cream, caramel, vanilla, cinnamon. There's definitely that DNA of, I find Imaginary Authors fragrances DNA woody. There's like a woody base that I smell in a lot of their fragrances, which I've experienced here, but this is the only gourmand fragrance from this house, and I think he's done a great job with it. It's very, very comforting and very, very cozy to wear and very delicious. So this is a whiff of a waffle cone from the house of Imaginary Authors. And then, you know, I do find tea fragrances to be cozy, but I don't have a lot of tea fragrances that are really, really inexpensive. So if you guys know of any, let me know, like around the $50 mark. This is a fragrance that focuses on tea. It's from the house of Berdu, but it is $85. This is it right here. It's called Assam of India. I do want to recommend this one, and this smell is so cozy, and I just find it to be very, very relaxing, even though it's kind of invigorating as well. It's sparkliness in here with citruses. So I would call this a citrus green aromatic fragrance, and also woody fragrance as well, with tea, lemons, sandalwood. And even though they mention lemons here, I get an orangey vibe. It's very orangey because lemons tend to be tart, you know, astringent, sometimes sour. There's in comparison to oranges, I would find oranges to be a lot more relaxing and calming in comparison to lemons, which are like going to wake up your senses because they're kind of tart and astringent. So I don't get that in here, and that's why I find it to be kind of maybe sweet lemons, or maybe oranges. But either way, it's very, very cozy because it also has this sandalwood in the notes. Sandalwood gets to be milky and relaxing, so the combination is great. So this is Assam of India from the house of Berdu, and that is the last fragrance I'm talking about today. Thank you so much for sticking around for the bonus fragrances, and I'll be back with another video tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.